Get you in.
All right, I'll let you know how we do.
If you would have bid all, I'm fine with that too.
It's lot number 1, a history-making lot, 2,900 GTPI, 1,000 in net merit. It's never been sold before.
Wow, here we go. Now we ought to be somewhere around 200,000 to go up the hill.
In a private suite overlooking the largest football stadium in the country, dairy farmers are casually dropping tens of thousands of dollars on cows they've only seen in a brochure.
Think about it. I don't think too long. We got to move. But I'm asking $155,000 for a $250,000 heifer. 155 will get you in.
These are some of the most genetically elite cows in the country. They have perfect udders, pristine lineages, and really high genetic scores. Almost half of the cows for sale today were raised by the auction's host, Jerry Jorgensen, a 29-year-old farmer from Michigan.
230, 235,000. What kind of cigars do you smoke? 235, we're gonna move. Sold it, $230,000.
Hey, girls.
Nothing about fourth-generation farmer Jerry screams, "I raise Supercows." But he's basically been breeding genetically elite cows since he was a teenager. Back then, it was just a side hustle on his father's farm. Now, he handles the family's entire breeding program. But these are healthy-looking cows to you.
Yeah. So, yeah, just the ones that are up and alert and ears up.
How much have you grown the business?
The genetic program has went from having 3 to 5 calves born a year to 1,000.
Do you know roughly how much on average you would like to get per cow or how it works out?
The average animal sold for $20,000. One of the reasons I don't like to talk numbers is because people don't understand the inputs.
But you're not turning a huge profit on a cow, even if you're selling it for $20,000 or more.
When an animal's sold for a large dollar amount, it's not all profit. If you could make a profit just like that, everybody would be doing it.
Selective breeding used to be much more romantic. Farmers would put 2 of their favorite cows in a pen together and hope for the best. Today, thanks to advances in DNA testing, breeding cows is more like drafting fantasy football players. With a few hairs and about $50, you can get something called a genomic total performance index, or GTPI number, for each cow, which includes all kinds of crucial stats like how much milk it'll produce, how much fat will be in that milk, and how long and fertile its life will be. Get a high score, and you could make the Holstein Association's list of this month's top new dairy cows.
So every animal here has a genomic profile. Any cow here, I can look her up and say, okay, here's what she is. Here's the likelihood of her being able to make an elite animal.
How many cows are there on the farm, and how many of them are elite animals, or what you would consider elite animals?
Right now we're milking 300 cows, and there's 5 milking that we consider elite, or the pool of elite donors that we would take embryos from.
Jerry's being modest. There are no duds on his farm. He says his entire herd ranks in the top 3% of cows in the country. But his female cows are divided into 2 groups: the super elite, whose eggs are used for fertilization, and the regular elite, whose bodies are used to carry the fertilized embryos. It's like a bovine spin-off of The Handmaid's Tale. To maximize the chances of birthing more super elite cows, Jerry follows a precise system. The ones he already has are given hormones so they release more eggs, then artificially inseminated using super elite semen bought from top bull sperm banks. When embryos form, they're flushed out, inspected under a microscope, and then implanted into different cows. Top dairy farmers used to be able to get maybe 1 calf from their best cow each year. Jerry can get 10 calves from each of his best cows every month. It's a little like speeding up cow evolution every 30 days, which sounds weird, but is actually something the dairy industry has been doing for decades, just more gradually.
If you look at just simple, how much milk can an average cow produce over time, that line is just a straight upward sloping line since about World War II.
Andrew Novakovich is an agricultural economist at Cornell who's been studying the dairy industry since the 1970s. Even though the US has fewer cows than it did back then, the country still produces a lot more milk.
It's a huge difference. It's enormous. We've improved feeding, we've improved healthcare, we've improved comfort of the animal in her stall, in the barn, walking around in the pastures. But the key is the genetic potential of the animal.
Are there any negative aspects to selectively breeding a species like cows?
Well, you know, different people, of course, will evaluate that based on their own sense of values of what's right and wrong. But I would say, other than the fact that you're not having a bull physically mating with a cow, everything else about this is pretty natural. You could ask yourself the question, do I want to produce 200 billion pounds of milk with 10 million cows or 20 million cows? And which is going to have the larger environmental impact? And it's pretty obvious that these increases in productivity, I would say, are highly favorable towards sustainability goals.
Jerry doesn't spend a lot of his time thinking about the environmental impact of today's dairy industry. He barely has time to check how he did when the new cow scores come in each week.
Here's this is how fast I look at them. Okay, no, nope.
Where do you see the scores?
So this is her TPI right here.
2617.
Yeah, which isn't good.
That's not good?
Well, it'd still be like 98, 99 percentile.
But
it won't be a future donor. Like this one is a recipient. She'll carry an embryo 100%. It's not like a secret recipe. I mean, I'm picking traits that everybody else can see, mating them to other traits that are also readily available for everybody, and then breeding them to where I think I can create a genetically superior cow.
Do you consider yourself a dairy farmer?
Yes. I mean, I still do a lot of what I consider dairy farming, whether it's feeding cows or working with animals.
Have you ever considered adding and scientist at the end of your title?
I haven't, but that'd be pretty interesting.